If you could see the world through my eyes, vibrant purple sunrise, shards of broken dreams come raining down.
Mark here, Life and Fitness Files. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about tapping maple trees so that you can make your own healthy sweetener of maple syrup. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with content. Let's jump into this. The tree tapping kit that I got was from Maple Tapper. I will say they have a great instructional pamphlet with lots of details and future steps to make sure that you're doing things correctly, allowing the tree to heal, set it up correctly, and where to tap later if you've already tapped a tree. Lots of detail, A+ for that. So in this kit, you get all the materials you need other than a bucket to catch the sap. You get a whole bunch of taps. These are 5/16 inch. So you're going to need the drill bit to drill that exact size, 5/16 inch. You also get a whole bunch of tubing. You can see here, many of which I have set up with the taps already. You also get some filters for future use. Let's run through how to set this up, what to do, what to look for, and when to do it. So the first thing to note, usually with maple trees, you can tap those from March to April. However, right now, our winter is unseasonably warm, so you have to make sure that the buds on the maple tree have not already started to open, or it's not going to taste good and you've missed the window. If that's the case, wait until next year. So you have the tubes, you have the taps. You need to make sure that you get a bucket with a lid. Make sure that it's food grade. I got this at Menards. I have a few on hand to see how much I will need. Food grade bucket with a lid. When you set up your bucket, what I did is I took the drill bit and I made a hole that's big enough for this tubing to fit in. But instead of putting the hole on top where rainwater could get in or other things can fall in there because of gravity, I put the hole right under the lip of the lid so that it's covered and it can still allow the tubing to run in and allow the sap to go in. The lid then protects it. I make sure there's a brick just to keep the lid from falling off or the bucket from tipping over. So that's something you will need to get. You can set that up pretty easily using a drill bit. So with the tubing, you get a whole bunch of tubing. You'll want to straighten it out a little bit. It's pretty coiled up when you get it. You get these taps. To slide these taps in there, some of them were okay and kind of easy and some of them were not. What I did is I just took a glass, or you could take a bucket or some kind of container with some warm water, not super scalding hot. Let those sit in there for a couple of minutes to soften up. Then when you go to add those taps in there, they'll slide in pretty easily and you can get those snug so that they don't leak. So as you can see, you have your tubing and your tap. I have my bucket with a hole drilled on the side and it's ready to be used. This one's obviously already set up. On your drill bit, so you're going to use a 5/16 inch drill bit. What they say to do is to measure 1.5 inches on your drill bit, mark it off with tape. You can use a marker if you want, but tape is a good visual to mark the end of that 1.5 inch. You want to go in 1.5 inches in the tree, but you don't want to go past that because you get past the point where you're tapping for the sap and you can injure the tree. So you want to make sure you stop at that point. You want to choose a spot on the tree, ideally coming off of a root or right between a branch. So you want to see that's where you're going to get a good sap flow. The other thing to consider is the diameter of your tree. Again, these instructions lay all of this out and make it really simple to understand. You don't want to tap a tree that's less than 12 inches in diameter. 12 to 18 inches, they recommend one tap. This tree, it's not a super huge maple tree, so I just did one tap on this tree. From 18 to 36 inches, you can actually do 3 taps. And if it's bigger than 36 inches, you can actually go up to 6 taps. So that's up to you to decide. You also would then have to keep up with 6 buckets. So you have to play around with that. What are you able to handle and manage and store and process once you're done? So I found a spot on this tree. They recommend a south-facing part of the tree facing the sun to help the sap flow. Figure out what works the best for you. That might not make a huge difference depending on where the tree is or what you have around it. You also want to find a spot that's between 24 inches and 48 inches. So not super low, not super high. This is right in between, probably at about 36 inches. You're going to have your prepped drill bit, and you're going to screw in, or I should say drill in, to the tree. And you want to go at a slight upward angle. So once you hit where you need to stop, it's going to be flowing down so that the sap can flow downward with gravity. That's going to make it flow out a lot easier. So you're going to find a spot. You're going to drill in at a slight upward angle between 24 and 48 inches between a root and a branch facing the south side if possible. Once you drill in, you're going to get some wood shavings. Blow those out. These ones came out pretty easily just blowing in there, but you can get a pipe cleaner or something to kind of brush those out of there so they're not blocking your tubing or getting in the way. Then you're going to take your hose that has your tap in it. This is already set up. You're going to take that hole and you're going to start the tap in that hole. You're going to take a hammer and slightly nudge that in all the way. You don't want to go too far, or you're going to either split the tree or you're going to break your tap. So you tap in using a hammer, go until you get to a stopping point and leave it. You now have your tube hooked to the tap. I then just hooked it to the side of the bucket where I had pre-drilled that hole. Make sure the lid's on there. And there you have it. So this is a pretty handy kit. It's pretty cool. It gives you tons of tubing so that if you wanted to set up multiple taps on multiple trees or single taps on multiple trees, you have the capability to do that. As I mentioned, you have to make sure you get your buckets with lids and get those set up. Make sure to clean that out from any of those shavings once you prep that. Put a bucket on there and you have your setup. A reminder, in March, you're going to start getting buds, if not sooner. Right now, this is February. This tree doesn't have open buds. Some of the other maples already do, so it limits your options. So you want to make sure you're looking at the timing, the size of the tree for how many taps, the direction of the tree. You set up your tubing, you set up your taps, and you make sure that it's facing the right direction. You have the right size drill bit. Overall, it's pretty handy. Again, this is from Maple Tapper. Instructions are very detailed, very cost-effective method to get your own maple syrup so you can add it to whatever you want. Yogurt, oatmeal, pancakes, and it doesn't have a bunch of added stuff. You know where it comes from. And if you have maple trees, good use of those trees. A couple other things to note, you can actually tap walnut trees. That's something I'm going to look into doing and see how that turns out. You want to make sure that you keep an eye on these buckets. As they get full, you're going to either want to put them in a cool place and store them until you can boil it down and process it, or just go ahead and process it right away so that you can filter that down. Overall, very cost effective, good instructions, great supply kit, and definitely worth the money. Once you get it set up and get these tubes hooked up with the taps, it goes pretty quickly. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Make your own maple syrup. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helps you to figure out how to tap maple trees and maybe gives you the encouragement that this is pretty easy to do and something you can check out. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Here's to life and fitness.
Walking miles in someone else's show.